Welcome to Sports Counsel, your playbook for all things sports. I am your host Matt, and I am here with G and Bryant for this episode of the show. We are just days away from the 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. Our draft expert G reveals his one and only mock draft this season, complete with shocking selections, player scouting reports, and breakdowns of every pick. This is the one mock draft you don't want to miss out on. Today is April 17th, 2026, and this is episode 211 of the show.
Man, you're going to make me blush the way you announced my mock draft, man.
Hey man, you have a pretty good record of these so far. Like, I didn't want to get to it too early, but I mean, I could just say it right now. Like, last year, your mock draft was pretty good. Like,
Thank you, man.
You got 10 out of the 32 completely correct to the teams, and you had 27 out of the 32 players that went in the first round you had on your mock draft.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah,
that's
man.
very
I know
good.
what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Just need to put on Pat McAfee now or something, you know?
I mean, you versus Mel Kiper, do you think you can take him?
Easy. He never gets anything right. Mr. Shadur Sanders.
Mel's falling off, man. You can get his job.
Man, might have to, but I can't leave you guys, so I'll stay here. I don't think my contract's going to let me leave.
No, it won't. But it is a Friday night, and you know, what better way to spend a Friday night than doing a mock draft with the boys here. No going out to bars, no hot dates. It's just mock drafts, no matter what.
I like to say it's just the mocks and the cocks.
I don't like that phrase, so I'm not going to use that. You do you, man.
That's wild. That's devious.
Well, am I wrong? Are we not three cocks and talking about a mock?
Either way, we're here and we're talking mock drafts on a Friday. We are Sports Counsel. This is our podcast. And G, where can the people find Sports Counsel?
Hey, man, I would love to tell the people where they can find Sports Counsel. So what you're going to do is go to your favorite social media website, and you're going to look at your search bar. You're going to search up sports_counsel. And now you might be asking, which social media are you on? We're on all of them. That's the best part. We're on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, on all your favorite places. So make sure you come and follow. It's free. I know it because I follow us too. So I know you can do it too. And then the nice part is when you go to our social media, you're going to find a link to our Discord. That Discord is going to have all the fun conversation, up-to-date reactions to trades, and who knows what happens. Maybe I'll be bragging in there about all the picks I got right, or it'll be the opposite, and you guys will be telling me how stupid I am for picking X person at this pick for your team. Whatever it is, it's the best place to have talk. Make sure you follow us, and one more time, it's sports_counsel on all your favorite social medias, and make sure you join the Discord.
Yep, join the Discord. It is going to be lit. A lot of discussion. We're going to have a live discussion during the NFL draft. It should be fun. You always want to see the crash outs, right? You always want to see the crash outs and the live first reactions. And
just trust me. If it's not projected today, but if the Steelers draft Ty Simpson, some vulgar things will be said in Discord.
And I crash out over every Niners pick anyway, so it doesn't matter what we pick. So you'll see it all there. But let's see this. We've been kind of hyping it up a little bit, but let's get to it. This is your one and only mock draft. You only do once a year.
Exactly.
But you do it pretty well.
I appreciate that. You went over the statistics last time, but I want to, I do like putting the disclosure out there, right? I'm not claiming to have watched all 22 of every single college player and, studied their games and fit and everything like that. For my basis that I'm going off of are actually 3 or 4 different main things. It's what does the team need? It's what do the other, Mel Kipers, Todd McShays, even to like the Daniel Jeremiah's, like what are the reports and stuff looking like, right? What is likely? What are they saying? Speaking of what's likely, I also like to check the books in terms of the bookie. And you'd be like, why does that? They always know. Like, when do they not know what's going on, right? Like, so I like to see just to check in, like, hey, if I think this guy's going here, like, is it likely? Do they also think so? Like, they're not going to just let people make millions of dollars off picks in the draft, right? They're going to they're going to have up-to-date information. Probably shit that we don't know. So that's why I also look at that. Put that all together, and I try to use some of my own. I do watch a good amount of college football, so I do have an understanding. Maybe I don't have second and third or fourth round draft picks, which is why we do a first round only. So I feel like I watch some of these guys. I know what they look like, what the good and the bad is. So with all that being said, that's how I kind of come to this culmination of the mock draft. What do you guys think?
I mean, one, I want to ask, are you using AI at all?
I did not. I mean, I once in a while would ask, like, what needs do you think the team has or something like that. But even then, it was very kind of, I guess, Google Assistant AI type of thing. But no, I didn't really ask like a, ChatGPT.
All right, old school. And I mean, I think that's what, in terms of the player scouting reports, I think that's where me and Bryant come in. Bryant is, kind of our guy when it comes to college football. He knows a lot about a lot of schools and a lot more about one school in particular. So
I wonder which player you think I want to talk about today.
It's always one. It's only one, man. You're worried about, that you care about, and he's not even on your favorite team.
I will say this isn't related to that part of it, but I have a good friend called Claude/ChatGPT. For fun, I had it play. Who do you think would put in the mock draft for round 1? And for some reason decided the Carolina Panthers would pick Arch Manning. So I think G is a lot better than AI these days.
Man, that is actually quite sad.
I think Nando's actually pretty happy about that. I think he wanted that like 2 years ago.
I mean, no, that would be a great pick for the Panthers, I think, but I just don't think it's realistic.
Maybe not.
It's entirely wrong. It's crazy.
But let's start off with something I would say fairly basic. The first pick, we're going to jump right into it. The Raiders, very obvious pick. It's the biggest need. I wouldn't say it's the best player in the draft, but it is a quarterback. It's Fernando Mendoza, Heisman winner, national champion winner. Even though there's a gasp, I don't think there's any surprise. What do you guys got to add for that?
That's the pick. It's going to be the pick. I think that this year feels a little bit more unpredictable because I'm not quite sure how the top 10 is going to shake out. But it's also the most predictable first overall pick since maybe, I'd say, Trevor Lawrence back then.
Or Caleb. Caleb was pretty predictable. Yeah. And I think what the only difference between this year's quarterback class and maybe Matt or Brian, you want to speak on it, is that there's a very big gap between Mendoza and the next quarterback. I don't know how that changes your opinion on Mendoza as a prospect himself, but there's no quarterback close to him. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there really is no one. Yeah, Ty Simpson is the next best, and I can't think of the next guy who's up on that.
Aller, maybe, or Nussmeier.
You don't want Drew Aller on it. That guy should not be a talent. Anyways, I mean, Mendoza makes a lot of. I mean, of course, it makes sense there, and some people are probably like, maybe he doesn't have the biggest like athleticism or like arm around it, but I see him as more of kind of like pretty cerebral QB who could fit in the system here, especially if you have, I think, Clint Kubiak is the Raiders coach now. So
yeah, correct.
Offensive-minded guy, QB guru, I would imagine there. So I would hope that they spend time and develop, Mendoza as much as you can. But this is the Raiders franchise, so it's kind of cursed.
What I hope for them is that they signed Kirk Cousins, which is very fair in comparison to, player to player. But also on top of that, I don't think he should be playing a lot this first year. And I think, Tom Brady kind of having a hand in this. I remember watching Tom Brady on a lot of the Colin Cowherd shows, like the Fox shows. And even when he was kind of broadcasting, he always mentions that he doesn't really believe that a quarterback should be playing right away unless it really makes sense. And I don't think this is a situation where it makes sense. Like, no offense, Kirk Cousins, you're going to go out there, you're going to take the beating, you're going to show him how it's done, you're going to show how a professional man just gets in a game and gets his ass beat every game and just plays next week, right? Like, that's exactly what you want from Kirk Cousins. And I don't think you want Mendoza taking hits or, it happened in the Joe Burrow year where maybe he does play good, but now your quarterback just tore his ACL his rookie year and now we're like, what the fuck, right? Yeah. I think that's exactly what you're trying to avoid. This team is missing O-line, weapons. Like, it's bad. And defense is awful. They're going to be on the offensive side of the ball a lot in passing situations that is just like, sounds like Kirk Cousins' ideal situation.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the last quarterback situation where it happened where like a highly touted prospect drafted like the first round, but they didn't play for a couple years. It's like probably like Jordan Love, I think. He sat on
I
the bench
think
for a
he was also in the
game.
teens, right? So I think number
Yeah,
one is like really got to like, I don't even remember the last number one they picked. They didn't start right away, right? To your point.
exactly. Yeah.
I think he's gonna play. I mean, we can get
Week
into
one?
this debate later. Yeah, I don't.
Wow.
I
Do you
think
think he's ready
could
for it?
play.
Do you, as a prospect,
No,
like,
no one's ever ready for it. But I think he has to play this season, or else it's like you can't just have Kirk Cousins out there. Maybe he will play. He won't play until week 3, but I'm giving it until like September, October until he gets out there. Even Drake
Yeah.
May, when he was drafted 3rd overall, he was supposed to sit behind Jacoby Brissett, and then Jacoby
I'd give it
Brissett
to-
died in like 4 weeks. So
yeah,
then it went
that's
to
true.
Drake May. So
I
think
agree.
he's
If
gonna
he gets
play.
hurt, he gets hurt. But then also, like, if it were up to me, ideally, I wouldn't probably start until after Thanksgiving.
I think that's where Jared
late.
Goff was. That was around where Jared Goff was back in 2016. So
And I
That-
think comp wise, I
timeline.
think like play style and obviously number one pick, I think that is the quarterback I would choose for Fernando Mendoza. The last thing is like comp and play style. A little bit more athletic, Jared Goff.
I'd say that around that range. I kind of put him in a blend of kind of Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins. I think he's the type of quarterback where the athletic profile is not the biggest thing that comes to mind. It's not like you look at him and say, oh, that's the number one pick because of like his Josh Allen arm strength or his Josh Allen kind of build or his like Mahomes improvisation. But he can be a quarterback that can win you games. He's a high processor. He will execute the offense to a very high level with a good offense. Like he can, an offense like a Kyle Shanahan, a Sean McVay, they need a high processor at quarterback. Even though they don't need the biggest arm, they don't need the like most mobile guy, but they need a guy who can process. So
And
you can
and
win
I
with
think,
that guy.
And I think Bryant mentioned this earlier, like Kubiak's their coach coming in from Seattle. I think he would love for, eventually, whenever Mendoza goes in there to be playing that kind of Sam Darnold-esque football from last year, right? Do you guys kind of see him in that role?
He's going to need to learn how to do the play action a little bit more. He mainly was in shotgun, so his eyes were never behind the field. Like he never turned his back that much. So that's what Clint Kubiak loves to do. That's what the Kubiak offense is the play action. So that's what he'll need to develop, I think, the most.
But that's the
Mendoza
thing
has
I want to.
brains for it. He's got the
Yeah,
brains
he has-
for it, for sure.
Yeah, he definitely has the brains for it, like you were saying, and he also has the right guy in front of him. I want to just bring that up again. Like Kirk Cousins is great out of the play action. Like that's where he's kind of made his bread and butter, right?
Yeah. Personally, I don't like him because he left Cal, and I don't really buy his nice guy shtick. So we're gonna
You
see
think
what
he's like a
happens when he
douchebag
goes
on
to
the side or something?
So what happened when he was at Cal, and I don't have a college football team. I didn't go to Cal, but I follow Cal the most closely. And when he was the quarterback there, he was okay. But the thing is, he was going to leave Cal, but he told the guy that was going to be the successor at Cal, Jaron Kewisoka Polotele, that he was going to stay at Cal. And that made him want to transfer out Saga Polotele, right? And then Mendoza took all the snaps in the bowl game for the practice snaps for the bowl game and then decided to not play in that bowl game. So they were completely screwed in that bowl game, and then he decided to transfer. Like, I just don't buy the nice guy shtick because I remember that all happening before he had success at Indiana, before all the cameras came, and he's like, oh, golly gee, I'm just, a nice humble kid from Miami. I don't really buy it, but that's not here or there. That doesn't have anything to do with his skills. It's not really, I don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting take. You're bringing up a side of people that don't really bring up a Mendoza. It was just like he didn't just start playing at Indiana, like, as a freshman or something, right? Like he had this back of playing at Cal where he was all right, like you mentioned, but I don't know. There are some more questions there, I guess you could say. But I think that's enough for Mendoza. I'm sure they'll talk about it for hours on hours for the day of the draft. So if you want more Mendoza talk, they'll be there. But let's jump into the next 2 picks here. I got the Jets at 2, obviously, and the Cardinals at 3. I have them both going kind of these pass rushers. I actually have the Jets going David Bailey, and I have Arvell Reese going to the Cardinals. And I'm going to kind of discuss the prospects, but also why each one went to where. I think David Bailey is the most kind of like ready to go edge rusher, pure pass rusher. That's what he did in college. He's more of an edge. Where Arvell Reese, you kind of have that Micah Parsons, where he was an off the ball linebacker. He'd rush off the edge. He'd blitz up the middle. Like, he did a lot more. And I think that the prospect does kind of look like he'd be a dominant pass rusher if given full-time pass rushing snaps. So why, 2 and 3? Bailey, like I said, he's ready to go, ready to pass rush day one. And I think that's kind of what the Jets need. I think also with Aaron Glenn, like, I don't know how many years you got. Your defense was absolutely pathetic. Like, you don't have much time to like really develop like a Arvell Reese. I think you need someone that's going to go out there and produce for you, help you maybe get an interception, like causing some pressure on the defense or on the offense, right? Like, I don't think that's kind of built for that right now. And then Arvell Reese at that point, if you're the Cardinals, is the second best pass rusher, second best defensive player in terms of prospects. So I would take him over Ruben Bain. I think, once we get to Bain's pick where he is in this first round, I'll bring it up again, but I do think the arm length thing matters when you're kind of looking at NFL size pass rushers. Unfortunately, look at the Patriots. They drafted, someone with shorter arms, and it didn't work out too well. They moved him inside. I think eventually is going to be what's happening with Will Campbell. I don't like that kind of vibe. It's just one of those things I have to accept. It doesn't make any sense why 32-inch arms versus 31 doesn't work in the NFL, but it's proven. You know what I mean?
It matters because when a tackle gets on you, right, and this goes both ways, right, but let's say when you're Ruben Bain, you got the shorter arms. If a tackle has that reach to push you away and you can't, and your little T-Rex arms can't push him back, right, that's a problem. So it's the reach, especially when you're going off the edge for, an edge rusher. You're trying to bend outside. You're trying to push the guy away from you.
Right.
So, Yeah, that's why it kind of matters. I mean, in terms of the two picks, I agree with Eugene, the fact that I think the Jets need a guy who starts day one. I'm not as big of a fan on David Bailey as Arvell Reese. I have Reese higher than Bailey because I like him. I like Bailey. He is a great pass rusher. He's got a great first step. It's like he gets shot out of a cannon, and he's just super explosive. It's reminds me a little bit of two Denver guys. Nick Bonito is a comparison that a lot of people have said. Von Miller had an insane first step, and it was all about timing with him. It reminds me of those two guys. The thing is that if he doesn't play well against the run, he's going to get washed out, and you can't have him on the field the whole time. And then it's like, if you can't have him on the field for the second overall pick, then I don't really want to draft you second overall, right? So that's kind of my issue with him. Reese is a talent. He's 20 years old, which is the craziest thing. And you know how I feel about the ages of these guys, right? So it's amazing.
Just on men's club already.
If only he was a offensive
only
player in fantasy.
Yeah, only if we started playing defensive back or defense on fantasy, huh?
IDP.
That's the number one pick for you. Yeah.
But
we'll continue.
He's only 20 years old, and he already has this much potential, right? He has the athleticism. They just basically said, hey, can you play pass rusher? Let's put you out there. He didn't really have the technique. He doesn't really have a pass rushing plan most of the time, but he wins off just pure athleticism. And I think that's very promising. Like, if you can develop the brain a little bit more, if he kind of just ages into it, gets an understanding of and a feel, he has to commit to one or the other. That's one thing. But if he can commit to one of them and then just learn the hell out of it, he has all the intangibles. Like, you can't teach intangibles, but you can teach, the kind of intellect, the kind of skill, the kind of pass rush moves that you need to succeed. So that's what really makes it promising for him. And I would hate it if the Cardinals got him.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you bring up. I was kind of strung between who I was actually going to put in these spots. But, at the end of the day, it's kind of a coin flip for me. I think you can't go wrong, but just kind of given situation is what the difference was there.
Yeah. Don't have much else to add, especially on, the Cardinals and Reese there. I think his flexibility, hopefully Arizona uses that well. They always shore up their defense there. Like I said, for David Bailey, though, for Texas Tech, is any Big 12 school historically, like Texas Tech is a shootout team. I can't recall the last defensive player on Texas Tech. They've had great QBs and wide receivers. This is a
Miles Garrett, maybe?
Myles Garrett probably, but this is a school that does not play defense. So if you have a guy who's the forefront of their defense, that reaches up with the second pick, like this is the real deal. This is a guy you can plug and play there because I mean, yeah, Texas Tech made the CFP last year there too. So and they had to have some semblance of defense, and David Bailey's the guy on that. So yeah, I think this guy is ready to go day one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you. Let's jump in the next pick. How about it? I think it's a kind of a fun pick, and I'm going to kind of just tell you guys what it is. It's the Titans taking Jeremiah Love. Now, like I do want to preface this is not what I would do. Every pick is like, oh, gee, why would you do that? It's what I think is going to happen. And I think the Titans right now, they're looking at it like we have a lot of holes, but we need to help out Cam Ward. I don't think they necessarily need to attack the offensive line as bad. And this is a deeper kind of wide receiver class where you can maybe still get someone at the beginning of the second round pick because obviously they have a high pick there. So I kind of see this as like more of like let's try to like maybe get a guy who can alleviate some of the just workload off of Cam Ward. And Love could do a lot out of the backfield in terms of catching the ball. And I think he is like probably, if we're just talking pure prospects, 1 or 2, maybe even 3 at the lowest. But he's an insane prospect. I mean, dude, he can do everything. He has an absolute fantastic tape. And like, there's nothing like, I'm like, do what you need to do. You put him on an actual competent team, unlike the Titans where I have him going to. I think he could be an immediate like RB1 in terms of fantasy. We're not going to do too much fantasy talk, but he's really fucking good.
Love is very good. And I think that I looked at the tape yesterday night in anticipation for this because I've been hearing all the hype and I didn't want to quite believe it. And I looked at the tape coming in skeptical. And I was still a little bit skeptical. Like I didn't see Bijan level of kind of amazement. Christian McCaffrey, those are the 2 like best prospects I ever saw in terms of like college tape. But I'll give him this, that he looks NFL size already, which sometimes is kind of hard to gauge because everyone looks kind of smaller in college. I could already tell that he could be an NFL starting back day one. And then as the tape went on, you could see just how explosive he is, right? If you just let him get out into the field, if you give him some time, he's going to break off the touchdown. He's going to break off a huge run. And that's the kind of explosive factor is a big thing that you need, especially with the Titans. The only player I could think of that is there now for Cam Ward is Wan'Dale Robinson, who they just signed. And if you're going to tell me that your best weapon is Wan'Dale Robinson in Cam Ward's second year,
that's awful.
You can't do that. Like, you can't do that. So it's a premium pick, but you need to do something for the Titans. Like, the Titans need some kind of offensive playmaker out there, whether it's Tate, whether it's Jeremiah Love. You got to go get an offensive playmaker.
I don't know about Tate's a little high here for me.
Yeah, I don't know about. I actually really believe in Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears and really move the needle for this team.
What the fuck are you talking?
I completely agree.
I was about to stop everything. Stop the podcast, Matt. We can't record. We need to talk to this guy. What is he talking about?
I'm joking. No, Jeremiah Love. I mean, the only thing I'll add to this is I have very, very sad news as combined with my favorite team. So this is a guy who his career high rushing yards. He gashed USC last year, and to be fair, our running defense is probably the worst part of the team there. He gashed us for 228 yards, averaged 9.5 per rush over there. Lord. So, I mean, we have a bad defense, but this is guy, exactly, he is explosive. I think last year he averaged almost like 7 yards per carry. So, yeah, This guy is fast, juke you, he'll beat the defense.
Yeah, and I would want that if I'm the Titans. Speaking of fast, can do a bunch. Let's jump into this next couple of picks here, but the 5th pick being Mr. Combine himself, Sonny Styles going to the Giants. I think you're Harbaugh. You're kind of looking to establish a new culture. You want a kind of a weapon. I could see a lot of people saying like maybe they should go receiver here with Neighbors coming back, get another weapon. Like I said, I just don't see Tate going here yet. I don't think he's as high of a prospect like where I would just feel comfortable taking it at 5 when there's such a talent available still in Styles. He's an absolute do-it-all kind of linebacker where he can play off the ball. He can even play some like man coverage, zone coverage, a blitz. He can do it all. And then you can use him so creatively. And I think that's kind of what John Harbaugh likes with the defense. He likes to have a guy like that. Kyle Hamilton is a great example. So I kind of see him playing a similar role, although he's kind of a safety, but Styles can do a lot. I'm just obviously impressed by what he did in Ohio State, and you're like, okay, well, he had to man that defense, and then he's like, the combine's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Styles is, I mean, when you draw Fred Warner comparisons right now, that's crazy. Like, the hype is unbelievable for him. The combine measurements were off the charts. He ran a 4.4. He's 6'5", 240 pounds. He's exactly just the build that you want for a linebacker. But the crazy thing is that he is a converted safety. He used to play defensive back, and then they moved him down to linebacker. And that's the special part, because I think nowadays, especially in the NFL, like you're playing against tight ends, like triple tight sets. Your linebackers are expected to cover a little bit more. They can't just be run thumpers at this point. So having a guy like Styles command the middle of that defense. The Giants were terrible in run defense last year, by the way. We knew that from fantasy football, but just in real life, like, they were terrible. And they already got their defensive line kind of figured out, pending Dexter Lawrence, obviously, but they need the second level of the field managed. I think Styles is just, he's a pick that could be a home run, but it's also very safe for the Giants, which I think they just need playmakers right now.
And you're putting him in the right hands, I believe, with Harbaugh.
I was gonna think maybe they take like someone like a Caleb Downs over here, just more for that secondary. But yeah, with Styles and kind of the coverage linebacker role, kind of a hedge really for can guard the pass, but can also help with that run defense there as well. So I would probably fit the needs.
I think it's the easy pick for them. I'm going to jump right into the next pick here. I don't think we'll have too much to discuss here, but it's the Browns taking Francis Maioga, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm not here for pronunciation purposes, but yeah, I think it's just like that's your biggest need. You can also go and draft, Carnell Tate and give Shedeur a weapon here, I guess, if who are Deshaun Watson, whatever the hell they're doing. But I just, again, don't see the value there. You have the number one tackle. He is absolute fucking monster, behemoth of a man, and he played absolutely, I feel like it's one of the first times where you watched Miami play and you're like, dude, that man is he's a man playing against boys. You know what I mean? Like, he led the team. I never feel like you lead the team with a tackle. It's weird to say that, but that's really what was happening. They were he's just a difference maker, and he probably right now would be the best player available. That also is a position of need for the Browns.
Yeah, the Browns let their entire offensive line go in free agency. I think 4 of them are still free agents, which I don't really know why, but maybe they're waiting around for the Browns to call them back. I don't think they need to with the left tackle. Like, I'm not even going to try Francis. So I think it's a good pick.
Yeah.
Let's go into the next 2 back-to-back Ohio State guys here. We have Washington at 7 taking Caleb Downs. Their defense sucks. They need the best player available. And he's probably, in my opinion, if I had to pick one guy that I'd be like, hey, pick the guy that's going to make a Hall of Fame or be a Pro Bowler or first one to be an All-Pro, whatever it is, I'd probably say it's Caleb Downs. He was a freshman at Ohio State, and we knew he was a top 10 pick. He was the guy there for the last 2 to 3 years. He's been just making plays. He can do it all. Very much like a Kyle Hamilton type of safety. I think this is a can't-miss prospect, and the Commanders need something like that on their defense because their defense is awful, and they have a defensive coach, which just makes no sense, but, that's, I guess, a conversation for another day. And then going into 8, I finally have Carnell Tate going here to the Saints. I think this is kind of like, okay, well, we know we have our quarterback now. What's the best thing we can do for him? Francis is gone. You could go tackle here, but Carnell Tate's a great weapon. And even though I kind of said he's not the best prospect, still a good weapon. And they need someone to put alongside Olave. So another Ohio State guy there. Can't really go wrong with Ohio State receivers right now.
Interesting. You hyped up one Ohio State guy, and then you really don't. It doesn't seem like you like Tate that much.
I mean, I think he's good. I definitely think he's like, maybe a more of a wide receiver 2, where you're kind of getting like really, really good high level wide receiver 2, but I don't know if I could kind of see him as a wide receiver 1. Just kind of speaking overall, if there was no health concerns, I would probably say Jordan Tyson's a wide receiver 1. I just, there's like this ongoing hammy thingy that's going on now, so it's kind of a little bit more risky for me in that opinion. But that was my wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Caleb Downs for a second, I agree with GG. Like, I think he is just an instant starter day 1. He's probably going to be a very good safety. I think it's a pretty safe pick, and I understand the risk, the hesitation is that why would I draft a safety in 7th overall, right? But if you get a guy that can just basically help the back end of your defense, he's going to be a commander out there, commanding the defense as well. And I think that I didn't even try to make that pun; it just came to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he's the best safety in this class just because of his versatility. And I think, again, with Mac McDonald and the Seattle defense, it's all about versatility nowadays. Nick Emmanwori, he was able to play kind of everywhere. And if you can get a safety like that, Downs has that ability to kind of play in the box, play like a linebacker, help against the run. He can play deep safety. He can play down in the slot, help cover your slot wide receivers. That kind of versatility I didn't really see from anybody else in terms of the safety class. So if you can get a guy like that, unfortunately, Dan Quinn's defense is a little antiquated at this part, so I really don't want him to be a commander because I think Dan Quinn would ruin him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dan Quinn might just end up getting fired, but that's not, that's not the point of this.
I really like the comparison, Matt, with Emmanwori there. Just was like Caleb Downs from watching college football ever since. Maybe even back when he was in Bama, but like for every year of college, last couple of years, he's been like the safety. He's been if not the defensive player of the entire like draft class you always talked about there. So extremely hyped up, can play all sides of the ball, or all sides of the ball, all roles of the safety there. And it'd be great if he could be used in a versatile way. But yeah, I will have to see if Quinn does anything about it. And then Carnell Tate, I don't know. He doesn't have the hype. Like JSN had a ton. He had more than Egbuka, but I just don't, more of a gut feeling, don't put Tate even like close enough to the same class of those guys in terms of kind of that production there. So we'll have to see how he fits in. And yeah, I do see him as more of like a 2 to like an Olave in that offense there.
I think that works. I think the fit is what matters here the most, is that you're obviously looking at the Saints who desperately need to put more weapons around Shuck. And then it's just like you mentioned, you have Olave, so Carnell Tate kind of already played a wide receiver 2 role in Ohio State, which he really strived in against with Jeremiah Smith. Obviously, I'm not comparing Smith to Olave, but it's that same type of dynamic where I think he could be successful.
I like it if he's a wide receiver too. I don't know if I share the same reservations. I think he could do it. What I really liked about him is that he's not the biggest guy out there. And he doesn't project alpha wide receiver 1, but his route running is great. He's a great separator, and I think that can carry over to the next level. I don't know if that's wide receiver 1 material, but I'm a little bit higher on him. But I do like him better as a wide receiver 2, obviously.
Yeah. Well, let's go to our next maybe 3 picks here. I got the Chiefs going Reuben Bain Jr. They desperately need someone on defense, and you kind of just missed out on everybody else. So if anybody can make Bain work, we mentioned his shorter arm length, and besides that, the tape is absolutely, it's not like I said, I didn't watch the tape, but if you watch Miami play, which you most likely did, he's an absolute monster. And you can be like, hey, he makes plays, and there's guys that he went against that are going to be NFL players, and he absolutely destroyed them. Fair point, and he is good, obviously. I think that, the Chiefs here are desperate for pass rushing help that is young. Karlaftis is all right. Chris Jones is old as shit. It's getting to the point where, Spags can maybe make it work. You kind of already missed it. Maybe, this could be a trade-up spot for the Chiefs. Maybe if they want a Styles or a Downs, or even one of the 2 pass rushers, they think about going up to get their guy if they're not too amazed with Bain as a prospect, kind of like myself. But they could go do that. And then at 10, I got the Bengals, who also probably really desperately wanted the best defensive player possible, but not really there anymore. You got good corners, and you could reach on an edge, but there's still a good tackle here from Utah and Spencer Fano. So you still need that as well. So might as well protect Burrow, and, can never really go wrong doing that, right?
Yeah, protect Burrow. Going back to Bain here, I think if the tape is good and he is productive, you can't talk too much about the arm length, because if anything, he won't be an edge rusher. He'll go a little bit more inside. I think that he will be a productive player in the NFL. Where? I don't know, but I'm not too concerned with the arm length. The driving is a little bit concerning. I know that, a report kind of came out maybe a week ago that says he was involved in a crash that led to someone's demise, right? And he kind of received a reckless driving citation, but I think it was dropped. I think, okay, sure. But then I heard that there was another reckless driving citation back in 2025. And then it's just like, okay, you have two. That's a little bit more concerning to me. That's a little bit more.
Maybe him and Rashid Rice could get in some races.
Have a Chiefs jail team going there.
Well, they had Frank Clark as their defensive end, so.
Oh man.
But yeah, as a prospect, I like Ruben Bain. I like him. I would hate that see him on the Chiefs, and for the Bengals, I think you should build up that offensive line. I would also like defense for the Bengals here because they probably need it. If Downs was here, I would probably take him, but he's not.
Yeah, I would take any of the defensive guys that got drafted. Obviously, that's why I have going before him. But if they were still available here or something changes, I would definitely, if I'm the Bengals, take the defense over the tackle here. But you're looking at the best player available who also has a position of need. Again, just makes the most sense at this point. With that being said, let's jump into maybe 3 picks now. We have the Dolphins taking Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon, the tight end. And why is that? They desperately need to put something around Malik Willis. I just saw, the infamous clip of my new quarterback throwing a beautiful spiral in the offseason with no pads on, video. But it was to Malik Washington. And then Malik to Malik. I'm like, dude, Malik Washington is your wide receiver 1, and A-Chain's not showing up to practice, and this is going to get really ugly. You should probably get him another weapon. Maybe some protection here could be good because their offensive line is not good either. But, if I was Malik Willis, I'd be like, hey, I would love a weapon. And I don't know if he has like a say or anything. I'm sure he doesn't. But I think you should look at that roster. It's the biggest need is a weapon. You traded Waddle away to Tyreek Hill because cut. You got A-Chan and nothing. Right. So that's just makes the most sense. And Sadiq is an absolute fucking monster. If you watch any of the Oregon's games, he's just like, again, just jumps off as like, that guy looks like a NFL player playing college football. And he's just an absolute monster. I love the way he plays. He's basically a wide receiver, but it's okay. They'll need that. Going into 12 here, I got Mansour Delane going to the Dallas Cowboys, the cornerback from LSU. They just desperately need corner help. Trayvon Diggs is cut. He's not very good. The other guy, the Bland, that got all the pick sixes, he's also just like all or nothing because all he does is try to go for picks. They need someone to actually try to be a CB1 there, and it kind of worked the D-line already. So this feels like also the biggest position of need for them defensively. And then 13 here. This one's for you, Bryant. This is your first USC guy off the board going to the Rams, Makai Lemon. And this is a pick they got from the Falcons, so it feels like a luxury at this point. And, Devontae Adams is old, and Matthew Stafford's also old, so, gets a replacement, but also maximizing your quarterback's window at the same time. And he kind of has his own little play style that's not really something they have yet on the team, so I think this is perfect. And it's the Rams. I'm sure they'll make a wide receiver work, right?
Sadiq, I'm not as hyped on Sadiq. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't see it?
I don't really see it.
I would say as a prospect, I think he's better than both of the tight ends that came out last year, and that was Warren and Loveland. I would take Sadiq right now over both.
There are 2 red flags that I have on him. One, he doesn't possess exactly tight end size. Usually you kind of see like your 6'5", 6'6" kind of guys. He's 6'3", and I'm not saying 6'3" isn't tall, but it's tall.
Jesus.
It's very tall. If he came up to me, I'd be intimidated. But it's a little bit small for a tight end. And I think he plays a little bit more finesse as a tight end. Part of why I can't see like a guy like a Kyle Shanahan drafting him is that he doesn't necessarily block all too well. And I think that that's obviously something that's needed for a tight end. So you're kind of playing him more as a finesse guy. But I think the biggest thing for me is that he has never had more than 600 yards in a season, right? He has 892 career receiving yards at Oregon. Obviously, they had Terrence Ferguson there, I think, last year, so maybe that kind of cut into his production. But they historically, when you've had a tight end that has not produced that much in college, and 600 is the benchmark, they don't typically tend to do well in the NFL. So those are some red flags that I'm seeing. In terms of the prospect, he's very athletic. He's got a great profile, but those are some concerning things. I mean, also with Delane, Cowboys. What did we talk about the most about the Cowboys in fantasy football last year? They give up the most points to wide receivers every time. Every time they allowed a touchdown to a wide receiver. So this is exactly what they need. It'll be sad because that'll kind of remove kind of a cheat code in fantasy football, but I think he'll be very good there. He's a very sticky man corner. He reminds me a little bit of Quinyon Mitchell in that he's kind of that physical press man guy that can lock up a wide receiver one.
Yeah, I would on the previous two there because I got a little bit of talk about my guy Mekhi Lemon there, but I mean Sadiq and I feel like the Dolphins maybe would go as like a pure kind of like wide receiver kind of offense pick there because I would agree like the numbers he has just doesn't back him up as being like that number one guy, number one pass catcher that you would need in Dolphins. He might get shoehorned into that role, but I don't see kind of the full fit there. And Cowboys need any help they can get within their secondary. Mekhi Lemon, he comes from a long generation of USC wide receivers like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Drake London, guys that are in the slot. They're honest. They'll rack up the receptions and yards and have great hands there. And that's the exact type of archetype of wide receiver that Mekhi Lemon is getting there. Would the Rams, because for me, just like the Rams has so much on yes, you got Devontae, you got Puka, and Stafford's getting up there in age. Another wide receiver in the picture there. That's a lot of mouths to feed, but Mekhi would be able to stay home. Pretty familiar was kind of where he is there. And I can see the Rams just being like, just give Stafford whoever he wants there. And Mekhi is that next level of like kind of like use and guys who can just rack up those catches and keep it going out there. So he's a fantastic pick, racked up multiple games over 150 yards last season. So he'll be a massive talent to really any team that needs that wide receiver help.
Yeah, I think one thing is that Mekhi is kind of like that slot guy, which would fit in because you got Puka and Devontae on the outside, Mekhi on the inside. He can rack up a lot of receptions. I think that's a big thing. I would almost honestly switch the two picks because, as you know, like the Rams ran the most triple tight end sets last year. Getting a guy like Sadiq, who's actually kind of a potential game changer out there, versus whatever the Rams already have right now at tight end, I think that could be very explosive. And then for the Dolphins, they might need a Lemon where it's just like, we just need some guy to catch the ball 20 times, and because we don't have anybody here. So,
I mean, I'm just going to compare prospect to prospect. Maybe this is where you and I disagree, Matt. I kind of just like Sadiq a little bit more.
That's fair.
So we'll go into our next three here. We have a very simple pick. I think not much to be discussed. It's the Ravens kind of taking a replacement for Linderbaum. So let's give this a shot here, huh? How about it? Olivala Vega Onia or something like that. The guard from Penn State. I'm sorry, man.
It's in the. I put the pronunciation in the.
Oh, did you? I'm just looking at the mock. I'm so sorry. I mean, you want to do it, man. You're good for it.
I don't have the first name, but I have the last name. Oane.
Okay. Well, he's an absolute monster. Very good. And it's a position of need. You lose Linderbaum, you kind of have to replace him. It's exactly what I think they needed. Same with this next pick. You lost Jamel Dean and Kendall Vildor, so you're looking for corners. Your defense is kind of similar to the Commanders where you got a defensive coach, but your defense is just god-awful. So maybe either your coach has got to go or you got to help them get some personnel on defense. So I think you do a little bit of both. You give them you give them the corner this year. If the defense doesn't make drastic changes or gets better at all, then maybe it is time for the coach to go after that. But McCoy, he's just, I think, between him and Mansour, it's hard to say who's DB or cornerback one. It could just be fit, which one do you kind of like for whatever scheme you want to run. But me personally, I have him a CB2, and I think he's kind of just a plug and play for the Buccaneers here. And then lastly, we'll go into the Jets pick. The Jets here, now you're looking at your team. You got your kind of your main defensive player that you're going to, hopefully Glenn can develop and stuff. But your quarterback that's going to be playing next year is going to be different from this year. Geno Smith's not your 2-year-long quarterback, right? He's going to win you the Super Bowl this year, but next year you're going to need a new quarterback, right? I think, it's good to address the weapon things first, right? Develop that team around the player so that when the player comes in, he can actually be a day one starter. So I have them taking Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. He was coached by one of my favorite receivers of all time, completely biased, Heinz Ward. And he really came out and vouched for him. Like, he really just said that, like, he's a absolute playmaker. He's playing through injury. He tries his hardest to do so, which, obviously you don't want the guy to be injured, but that mentality is the right way to go about it, right? He also is just a position need for the Jets. So he's similar to the Saints. You need a wide receiver 2 to put alongside your kind of young wide receiver 1. And Tyson, maybe if he is a wide receiver 2, can maybe not have to worry about that, as much of the injury issue.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, typical Ravens pick. Feels just exactly right at home, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Buccaneers, I like McCoy. I think that, obviously the biggest red flag there is he had an ACL tear. He was out for the entire season last year, but he should be healthy by training camp. But you kind of basing it off freshman and sophomore year film. I could see the Bucs doing that to replace Jamel Dean. I could also see them getting some more pass rush because that's always been a big issue with them. And just Todd Bowles' defenses in general. He just likes to blitz. He never actually generates any pass rush with his guys. So that
kind of scheme thing is also like, if you're just gonna blitz anyways, you might as well get a good corner so that corner can hopefully play defense for like 3 seconds while you're blitzing. That's kind of like logic, I guess, right?
I guess so. As long as they're not bringing him in on the blitz, right? So Jordan Tyson's the big one. This is the one where I really like. Yeah, if you got Garrett Wilson and Jordan Tyson together, if I were a Jets fan, I'd probably cry a lot more. But I would be very happy initially for Thursday night to get Jordan Tyson, and I just think he's probably wide receiver 1 in this draft class, if not for the injury risks, right? He obviously had like 3 different injuries: knee in 2022, collarbone 2024, hamstring 2025. I mean, the collarbone thing is, I said this in the Mike Evans podcast, like, it just happens. You break your collarbone, it's going to break.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. But the hamstring injury is the one that really kind of concerns me because that's going to limit your explosiveness. And I think that Tyson, what differentiates him is that he can be explosive on all 3 levels. And he can basically just do anything. He doesn't have this, again, not Megatron, AJ Green, Jamar Chase kind of size, but I could see him as a wide receiver 1, even at 6'2", even if he looks a little smaller and lighter out there, just because he can do everything. He can track the deep ball. He can separate. He's just aggressive. 67% contested catch rate. Very, very good. I like the prospect, but you're going to have to fight his medical injuries. If you have a good medical staff, make sure you get their opinion on him.
So maybe not take him to MetLife is what you're saying?
Well, I don't think we should take him either. That's the thing.
That's true.
Okay, well, that's fair point.
Hopefully, prayers to Jordan Tyson. Hope he stays healthy at one of the monster fields of the NFL for injuries.
Please don't make him a Jet, honestly. Just don't make him a Jet.
But it makes so much sense, though. Imagine next year they're going to be asked, next year they're going to be drafting a quarterback. Now you have Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, now Jordan Tyson. Your offensive line is not bad. You got a lot of young first-round picks from the last few drafts in the O-line there. So now you're kind of developed an offense, and hopefully once you fire Aaron Glenn as well, you'll have a new offensive head coach, and boom, that's an actual team. You know what I mean? But you do something stupid here, which maybe they will, you kind of mess that all up. Their plan, at least what I see long term, is this, and I feel like it makes a lot of sense.
Some gap years we're taking here, both with the Bucs and the Jets, firing their head coaches, and these are just some filler pieces for the next guy.
I that's how I see it, man. This is some coaches that are kind of just questionable. What are you doing here, right? So maybe let's jump into some coaches that don't have to worry about job security, right? So they're maybe that plays into why they take these guys. You got the Lions at 17, and I got them taking Caden Proctor, the tackle out of Alabama. You got Sewell moving to left tackle. Obviously need the right tackle. But the Proctor, what I like about him is that he's that big physical monster. I always like those type of guys at a tackle position. Obviously, he's not the most mobile. I mean, you're 6'7", 350. It's going to be hard. But it came from Bama. I feel like that's always one of those things too, where you can always trust a tackle coming out of Bama. It just feels safer, feels more kind of ready to go. And then the next pick, the Vikings, they're taking Tynan Man, the safety from Oregon. He's finally going to be time to replace Harrison Smith. He can kind of do it all. He's really good at playing that high safety as well as kind of play a little bit of man coverage. And Brian Flores defense. So another kind of weapon that definitely can help what he wants to do in terms of scheme. I think he'll be good for them. And then just a position of need here. Let's go right into the Panthers drafting Omar Cooper Jr. I just think when you're looking at their team, you obviously lost Rico, but I'm not really feeling like running back here. Maybe you can go offensive line. There might be a couple guys you could still like, hey, tackle here. But I just feel like Omar Cooper, like you need to figure out what you have with Bryce Young. Give him another weapon. You have Cooper Jr. You'll have Tet, and then you'll also have what's his name? Coker. That's a good wide receiver, 3 wide receivers. If Bryce Young can't consistently play good football with that and with Canales as head coach, like it's probably a great sign that you probably need to move off of him, right? And it's just the way it goes, right? Like you want to make sure, like I said, this is not just the 1 year pick. This is a multiple year pick. So regardless of who's quarterback, having at least a range of weapons will be good for them, right? And he's really good. I mean, you watched him play at Indiana with Fernando Mendoza. He's gets used all over the field, and he was a pure wide receiver one there. And I really like what, the fit is here alongside Tet and Coker.
Yeah, Proctor feels like a Lions pick. I think he's just a big dude and he's just going to maul everybody there, which is exactly what Dan Campbell would want. He probably wouldn't fit kind of a zone blocking scheme like a Kyle Shanahan, McVay, but it feels like a very Lions Drew Petzing kind of pick too, where they could run the ball behind this guy. Dieneman also sounds like a Vikings pick. Replace one white safety with another white safety, right?
I did not do that purposely.
Just slot them in, right? Lunch pail kind of guy.
Sneaky athletic.
Just a trusty guy, you know what I mean?
First guy in, last guy out, right?
Oh man, that's crazy. I didn't even really think about like the white to white trade off, but
I like Dieneman. I think he's a very good safety. I think that when I watched his tape, he just always seemed like he was in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
And it just seems like he gets a lot of picks that way. I think that's very good for the Vikings. And then Omar Cooper Jr. watched his tape too. What I thought of and what I typed in, Deebo Samuel, he's not as big, and I'm not meaning that in a derogatory way. He's not like a bowling ball like Deebo where he kind of like bounces off of people, right? But he does have that yak ability. He moves a lot like Deebo Samuel, which I thought was really crazy. Like when I saw his tape, I was like, wow, this is kind of like Deebo Samuel out here. And he's very versatile. He can be used in screens and end arounds. Big yak guy. I like him. I don't know if the Panthers will draft him because that's 3 wide receivers in a row in the first round. I know the GM commented on that, but
Leggett is just like a lost cause, in my opinion, man. Do you see? I didn't even bring him up. I don't know. I think he's a bust.
He's stuck somewhere in the Cajun South down there, unfortunately. But I mean, I like all the picks there. Fits like a traditional pick for like the Vikings and the Lions. And then, yeah, the Panthers. I mean, Bryce Young, if they do draft Omar, it's like he has his weapons here. Go use them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you guys on those. Let's jump into maybe like the next 3 or 4 picks here now. We're kind of getting into less fun names and teams. Cowboys back up again. I got them taking Keldrick Falk from the edge from Auburn. You're kind of still looking for a pure edge rusher. You keep filling in the middle of the field with Gary, and then last year in the trade deadline you picked up Quinn Williams. Quinn Williams is a true D tackle. Gary is like a hybrid, but now you got a pure edge rusher. That D line and defense is looking a lot better. Steelers. So now my team here, you guys all know, Steelers fan, but I don't know what we can do here. Like, I know what I don't want, but I don't know what I want. So that's the thing. What do you don't want? I don't want Ty Simpson. I do not. There was someone that said, what if Aaron Rodgers came out and announced the pick and then also announced that he's coming back and then they took Ty Simpson? I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? What is this? WWE? Like, what is this? Some like fake storyline shit, Like, no. Let's just be nice and simple here. Let's take Blake Miller to tackle out of Clemson. And why? Because Broderick Jones, he's kind of been wishy-washy. Worst comes to worst, someone can move to guard. We just lost Samalu. I don't know where he went, but he left. So we need someone on the O-line. And like I said, Broderick Jones just hasn't lived up to first round potential. I think we literally drafted him at like 18 when we traded up with the Patriots to get him. But yeah, same thing here. For the next team, the Chargers, Caden McDonald, the D lineman at Ohio State. It just feels like a Harbaugh pick, And then that's the same thing with 23 here. We got the Eagles taking Monroe Freeling at a tackle out of Georgia. Does that not just feel like the most Eagles pick possible? I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
Well, they like their Eagles. The Eagles like their Georgia players. That's for sure. That's one thing. I mean, first of all, you're not going to pick someone flashier. It's Pittsburgh, right?
Last time in Green Bay, to take a wide receiver.
They pick, like in Green Bay, they picked Matthew Golden, the wide receiver, to like hype up the fans. You guys don't do that?
If they do that shit, if they do that, I don't even know what it would be to hype us up. Like, what is going to hype us up? Like, it had to be Ty Simpson, right? And I don't really want that. I really don't.
Well, that's what you're getting now.
Yeah. I mean, I had the Steelers also getting I had if Caden Proctor fell all the way down to the Steelers, but I can see him just getting like a tackle, fits the clearest need there. And yeah, it's not flashy, but I mean, it's a need and it's probably better than Ty Simpson. That guy is never going to sniff a starter. He's like backup material straight up. So
whoa, really? That bad?
I'm calling my shot. I think remember his first couple years at Bama, he was not standing out against the rest of like the QB crew. Like he was one of those guys that saw him and his stats and was like, yeah, okay, yeah, this guy's not it. So I don't have good feelings around Ty Simpson.
Interesting. Going back to some of these other picks, Caden McDonald, big textbook nose tackle. You know exactly who he is. He's just that guy who's gonna stop the run up the middle. Feels like a Harbaugh guy, but at the same time, I don't think if the Chargers don't get an offensive lineman in the first round, I think the Chargers fans will collectively kill themselves. All 10 of them, right? Like that includes Jamar, by the way. Like they need a tackle. They can take the Monroe Freeling, the Eagles guy, which, I think he's more of a project. He has that build as a tackle, 6'7", 315. He's only 21 years old, right?
My thing with the Chargers is they need O-linemen to stay healthy. They don't need O-linemen. They have two tackles that are really, 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 really good. Like this Monroe Freeling would not play anytime soon for them.
The worst thing that could happen is that you have a backup offensive lineman that's capable, right? And with the Chargers, I mean, one thing, Slater had a patellar tendon injury, so we don't know how he's going to come back from that. So
that's fair.
I would want to get more offensive linemen and deal with that later than less offensive linemen and a defensive tackle, right? Like Chargers fans, I think, would storm the stadium.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I see what you're saying, but it's not that they don't have O-linemen to me. And it's just like, yes, you can take an O-lineman and maybe you can convert someone to guard, right? Like that's always possible and it happens all the time. But I still think there's still needs on defense. It's not like this is a perfect team besides their O-line. So I would have thought receiver here as well, maybe. But just, I don't know. It just felt like the Harbaugh pick is D-tackle.
Please just let Justin Herbert live. Just let him live.
I mean, he's already living. He's dating Madison Beer. He's fine.
Also true. Very, very fair point. Yeah. I mean, with that being said, we can just hop into the next set of picks. We have here now the Jaguars at 25. Maybe we could quickly just talk about this. I have them taking the wide receiver, Casey Concepcion, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. And why I'm taking him. Obviously, you guys kind of heard that maybe they're not looking to play Travis so much at receiver anymore. They want him to kind of be maybe a full-time corner and a part-time receiver, which I felt like is always kind of the move for him because it's easier to kind of control your reps that way. Now, why the receiver for them? I guess it's going to be kind of like the important question here, right? But you have Myers, who I still don't feel like is a wide receiver one. And after that, I'm like looking at these guys, like none of these guys are really better than Casey Concepcion. So, and younger, fast, like he's just a better kind of a receiver. Even Myers, I don't think is much better than Casey Concepcion. So he could just come in and be a wide receiver one for you if he develops. And you're paying your quarterback $50 million. You might as well get him some more weapons, right? Like it can never hurt. You lost your running back, but Trevor keeps playing well. You would rather just buy into that and hope that he can continue playing well. But we give him weapons. We do our part, right? So that's how I kind of see it.
Yeah, I don't see this one. This is the one that's the most questionable to me because you have 3 wide receivers that are arguably they work together well at the end of the season. Plus, this would also make, we talked about the Panthers, but the Jaguars now would have drafted 3 wide receivers in the first round. Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter kind of, and now Casey's Concepcion. I just don't see it as much of a need for Jacksonville.
But Brian Thomas is consistently in trade rumors. It's like he doesn't even feel like
he
might not even.
Just don't trade him.
But it's not working. Like, why not trade him?
I just think that if you're going to make the move for Travis Hunter to be a cornerback, you wouldn't just say, okay, let's draft another wide receiver. Like, just make Travis Hunter a wide receiver, right? Just keep him at wide receiver if you had.
But it's not like he's not but he's a really, really good corner too, though. That's why. It's not like he's just playing corner because he can't play receiver or there's so many better receivers. He's actually an extremely good cornerback.
I think it's just because one, they need a cornerback, but 2, I think they feel comfortable with their wide receiver room. I think that's an indication. Like, by announcing it so early, I think they're saying we're pretty comfortable with the way things were at the end of the season. And honestly, I really like Parker Washington at the end of the season too. And I think they kind of want to see how that goes. So I think it's a little high, like for the first round. Maybe in the second round I could see it. I just don't know. Like, that's a lot of resources into one position group, and they could do a little bit more for everywhere else. Running back, honestly, like Bashal Tutin,
there's no one to take here though. That's
the
thing. You're still taking one of the better players available. I'm always going to refer back to best player available, right? And I'm not saying he might be the number 1 player available, but he's up there. I would still say, like, at this point of the board, like, he's definitely one of the higher prospects left. So even if you're, it's an unsure wide receiver room now, but it'll figure itself out if he develops and becomes a really good receiver, right? Then it's just him and Parker, or you trade Brian Thomas, and maybe you don't need to keep Jacoby Myers. You're paying him like $20 million. That's money you could also spend elsewhere. So it opens things up, right?
Concepcion's an interesting player as well. Like, he is very explosive. I could see him very well in the open field. And I think the big thing, again, explosive plays. Like, can this guy take one play and turn it into a touchdown or like a 50-yard gain, right? He reminds me a lot, like, I didn't want to say Zay Flowers because I think he's a little bit better than that, but he's like a taller kind of Zay Flowers. He just reminds me of that kind of smaller dude who's just, his best effectiveness is kind of moving around the field horizontally, vertically. He can stretch the field like that. So one thing is that he has a very high drop rate, so that is probably why he's going to drop all the way down here. That pun was intended. So I could see it coming either way.
I heard he might go to the Niners.
No.
Uh-oh.
We have other things to do here.
Well, let's talk about these next few picks, and one being the Niners here. We got the Bears at 26, taking Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, another safety out of Toledo, but they desperately need, to replace their safety. Kevin Byard was an absolute beast for them, and McNeil-Warren is a athlete. He can go out there and play 6'3" right away. I don't see why not. It's one of those things where you need it, make the pick. It's the best player available. And the same thing right here, next player with the Bills taking CJ Allen. No, it's not just because their name's Allen as well, but he's a linebacker. And I feel like consistently they have linebackers. They never stay healthy. Milano or whoever's out there, they're just never healthy. So maybe just get another one. Their defense is not so good either. And especially now that you have an offensive head coach in Joe Brady, you don't want the defense to fall apart and be like, oh, wow, Sean McDermott was really kind of holding that whole defense together. So the best way to do that is to make sure we draft a little bit more defense. You already traded a second round pick for DJ Moore, so you're not going to be picking until the third round. So let's try to take the best defensive player available right now, and is CJ Allen for me. And then the Niners here taking Caleb Lamu, the tackle from Utah here. And he's one of these things where, hey, maybe he's not your left tackle right away. Play him on the right side. Bring back Trent Williams this year, and then next year he can take his spot. Or consistently, unfortunately, happens is a lot of guys keep getting hurt for the Niners. So, like you said for the Chargers, maybe it's nice to have an extra tackle in there. I just don't see the receiver that makes sense here for you guys when tackle is also or just O-line period is just such a big need Whereas receiver, yes, it's still a need, but Ricky and, Mike Evans, like that is, you can still work with that. You can't work with the O-line the way it is right now.
Tell that to Kyle Shanahan. You should just tell him.
I mean, I wish I could, but I don't think he cares what I have to say because he just does whatever he wants, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna find a way to draft the running back in one of the first two Niners picks again. He's gonna ignore the tackle on the running back, as always.
It's gonna happen. I mean, you joke, but it will happen. It's not even like a joke. He will do that because I mean, it just happens.
Third round running back.
Every
if
year.
we did a third, if we did 3 rounds of a mock draft, I would definitely have you guys taking the most random running back available at the 3rd round.
Yeah, and count on it happening. Like if I had odds on it, I would take those odds. But first 2 picks, Bears safety. They need a safety. Kevin Byard went to the Patriots, so now they need a safety there. They could also use some pass rush too. I think that was a very weak spot for them last season. But I like the pick for Warren. He's a tall dude, very tall dude, 6'3". He looks lanky out there, and he's got a great peanut punch. Like I've seen some of his highlights. A lot of them are the peanut punch. He forces that out, and he's just really fast out there. I really like him as a prospect. CJ Allen, not as much. I think I saw his film, and I thought he was very average looking out there, and I think he's going to be a solid starter, but nothing stands out really on tape. Lomu, we need offensive linemen. We do need offensive linemen, and I would be ecstatic. I'd be over the moon if we finally drafted an offensive tackle in the 1st round for the first time since like 2018, I want to say. But I mean, honestly, I just want, like, I'm giving John Lynch a very simple assignment here. It's to draft a good player in the 1st round. That is it. Like, I don't care where it comes from. I don't care who it is. I want you to draft a guy that can actually make it to the 2nd contract. Because I looked at the, Niners 1st round picks, and I did a composite search. Only 2 Niners 1st round picks under John Lynch have gotten a contract extension with the Niners. I mean, can you even guess who they are?
2 first round picks.
1st round picks. Trey Lance.
Bosa?
Not Lance, but Bosa is one.
And
the other one is a head case. Yes. So, only 2 first round picks total in the John Lynch era, which has lasted for 9 years now, have gotten a 2nd contract with the team. And if you expand that to like the 3rd round, if you want to go from rounds 1 through 3, I think it's only like 2 more players, which is Deebo Samuel and Fred Warner. It's atrocious. It is atrocious, and you cannot win if you're not drafting cheap young talent. So John, you can't fuck up this one anymore. Like, we're really old at this point. We need some young playmakers. Anything out there. I would like a safety. That was my pick. And I wanted Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. But offensive line is also good, as long as they're good.
Anything to add there, Bryant? Kind of just joint sentiment with Matt here.
My crash out.
Yeah, I think if we pick an O-lineman, I think Matt and I might start going to church, man. That'd be hallelujah.
That'd be hallelujah. Well,
if we draft a defensive lineman, let's say we draft whatever, Caden McDonald, right, in 27th, I'm gonna go Brandon Ayuk on Levi Stadium.
Well, as long as if we get like some edge rusher, he better be able to get some sacks in the picture because that's what we need.
It's going to be some bullshit developmental defensive end who's a project and didn't play like the whole season, but he had like 1 good game.
Exactly.
Damn, bro. You can just hear the pain in that in the reaction.
It's been 9 years, bro.
That is insane. What's not insane are going to be these next 5 picks. We're going to rip them all off, and then we could talk about them. Texans taking Emmanuel Pregnon, I think is how you say it. But he's a guard from Oregon. Just need to get CJ some protection. I think it's very simple. It's very straightforward pick. I don't think there's too much to really go over there. Take whoever O-lineman you want. Chiefs, this is the pick they got from the Rams. I got them taking Avion Terrell, cornerback from Clemson. Just kind of a straightforward McDuffie replacement. You kind of could go maybe receiver here if they're the Chiefs, but you got Mahomes. Rashee Rice doesn't seem like he's going to catch a case, so maybe look for that in the second round. But for now, I think you're good with where things are. You still need help a lot on defense. You lost everybody in the secondary almost, so replace one of those guys now. Next, you got the Dolphins again, back up with the 30th pick. This is from the Jalen Waddle trade. So you can now maybe look at the defensive side of things. They just got holes everywhere. So it's his best player available. So I'm going to take in Cassius Howell, the DN from Texas A&M. It's just anything on defense is good. I don't think it particularly matters too much. Here at 31, we have the Patriots taking Denzel Boston, another receiver going here in the first round. But as you're the Patriots, you didn't really fully solve the receiver room, in my opinion. Dobbs could be a really, really good number 2. And now you get Boston as like your number 1 maybe. And hopefully he can just kind of play better because you have a really good young quarterback and he kind of elevates them. So maybe you never really need a 1, but having a bunch of these type of guys is always going to be good. It's a luxury pick for them. They could go defense here, but I just like Denzel Boston. He's a kind of a big 6'3" receiver, kind of different from the size of receivers they already have. I think it works. And then last, Seahawks at 32, luxury pick, but you got Mike McDonald, defensive coach. You lost Reek Woolen to the Eagles, so you might as well just fill that hole. Take Chris Johnson. No, not the running back, the corner from San Diego State. And he plays that kind of physical man corner, which I think would work in a Mike McDonald kind of blitzing defense and allowing the Seahawks to kind of stay where they are in terms of being dominant.
Yeah, one note on 2 notes here. Chris Johnson, very physical press man corner kind of guy. Obviously, there's lack of competition out in the Mountain West, but it's a good pick for the Seahawks. I think it's a good identity pick. Denzel Boston, if they don't get AJ Brown, I mean, this is kind of a big catch radius guy. He's a box him out, kind of like he fits that mold of the Mike Evans, Ted McMillan jump ball wide receiver. Like he'll come down with it. He's that kind of build. It's not exactly AJ Brown, but it's okay. It's okay. It's a consolation kind of prize right there. Anything to add, Bryant?
No, honestly, not much else. I think it all fits clear needs that all of these teams have kind of suffered through there. Yeah, not much else kind of besides that.
Well, that's all 32 picks. So kind of just looking at the whole mock draft at whole, what do you guys have for me? What do you guys think how I did? Any questions you guys may have, kind of like missing a player or two? I know we're going to maybe talk about Ty Simpson again, but what do you guys think? Overall thoughts?
I like the first, hopefully you do pretty well with, the first 10 picks again, correct. I feel like there are a couple cases where it's like, maybe a team already has like too many wide receivers and kind of like particular there. But if there's any position people get greedy in, is kind of that wide receiver and talent area. But seems like a pretty solid mock draft.
Yeah. One thing, I mean, you already mentioned the Ty Simpson thing. I do think that a team is dumb enough to go into the first round again and get Ty Simpson. I could very much see these last teams right here. Like the Chiefs, they could trade back and then someone can get Ty Simpson. And the reason why they would do that is to get the 5th-year option on that contract, just in case he does pan out. So I think that's something. Second thing is that trades. What happened? Where's the trades at?
So I guess I'll address both points, but we'll start with the trades, and that'll lead into the Simpson point. With the trades this year, I didn't see the trades didn't really hit me. You know what I mean? Like usually there's like a team that has like like the Chiefs or the Cowboys have extra picks, but they need those extra picks. They need to stay there and pick, in my opinion. And then it's like you're looking at a lot of teams that are willing to trade down. There's not a lot of suitors, right? So where I could maybe see a trade, I tried to mock it out and I thought about it. I'll kind of just call my shot here. I think the Cardinals are going to trade back into the first round. Obviously, I don't have it happening. Maybe it just be to 32 and then you're just trading up 3 spots. They will go, I think, and get Ty Simpson in the end of the first round, and I think it will be the Cardinals. So that's kind of my shot that I'm going to call there with the trades. Just generally, though, the people are saying, especially I think it was being the the Chiefs GM mentioned that he thinks there's going to be a lot of trades and it's going to be an entertaining draft for the fans. I just maybe it will be, and they'll kind of be more out of the blue trades, like maybe like that Texans trade from a few years ago when they drafted Will Anderson. And it's just kind of like, how was I supposed to mock that up, right? So it might be one of those type of things where if there are trades, it's just coming out of the blue. Only other place I might see a trade is back up here in the top 5. I know I mentioned him a lot. Someone I wasn't the biggest fan of, but Carnell Tate, I could see someone maybe if they are into that as a prospect, like, hey, I really want to go and grab him. You'll have the opportunity to trade up with either, I would say 5, 7, and maybe even 8 if the Saints are just like, whatever, we'll just take the trade. We just need more players anyways, and draft capital never hurts. So I could see, a team jumping up to go get Tate. It's just like, what team is it going to be? Is it going to be the Chiefs that are going to go get a receiver, or like who is that? That's exactly where kind of my questions come, right? So if there's not a lot of teams that may make sense for to trade up, so I can't really see too many. Any trades you guys kind of think about or heard maybe in the grapevines that
nothing in the grapevines. I'm not too plugged in right now. All my sources left me. Jeez.
Or any trades that you guys want to see?
I think I'm let's get into like the bold predictions here. I'm gonna try to give some because I did give the Jackson Dart prediction. I thought that Jackson Dart would go ahead of Shedeur Sanders last year, and that turned out to be true for him and like 6 other quarterbacks. I'd say I think the Rams will trade down. I think either the Rams will trade down or they will draft an offensive lineman and protect Stafford, because I just feel like they don't need another wide receiver. I think they just protect Stafford. That's the key right now. And they really address that secondary with the trades and the signings that they did in free agency. And if they do trade down, I could see them being a Denzel Boston kind of pick right there if they wanted to get a wide receiver, because a lot of comparisons I saw were to Puka Nacua. I saw that there was a lot of jump ball comparisons, and I think that's what they want for the outside receiver. If they want to replace Devontae Adams, they want to go with an outside guy. So, and on the off chance that Puka is too crazy now, Boston could be a replacement for him as well. So that's something that I would consider. And I think the Niners will draft a defensive end. And I'm not kidding. I think it's Akeem Mesidor will be the pick. I won't like it, but
I can't see it. I can't see it at all, but man, that'd be a travesty for you guys.
I wouldn't hate that pick. I would kind of hate it because he's kind of old and he's a defensive end, but we do need pass rush as well. We did not have any sacks last year.
You're literally a guy who has like, I don't know how close to double-digit sacks you can get, but that's what we should see, more sacks, not enough, and not just hurries out there.
Well, Brian, do you have any bold predictions? Maybe any of these USC guys that I missed?
Someone should pick Mekhi Lemon higher up.
Oh shit!
I want to see.
Do you actually have him as your wide receiver 1, or are you just?
As like a true wide receiver 1.
No, like in the wide receiver 1 in this draft. Sorry,
I have the Chiefs drafting him.
Do you have anybody going before that?
I think I kept like kind of Carnell Tate. Perhaps about that too. I mean, can't be too biased,
Yeah, I'm just wondering how biased you are.
I like Lemon at 9. Lemon at 9 would be good. Like, I feel like the Chiefs
like 8 or 9. Both of those teams, the Chiefs and the Saints, could use like a wide receiver kind of type of thing.
I guess there's a world where Tate might go to the Giants at 5, and then you have 2 teams that need receiver that maybe like you said, just Lemon is a good prospect in itself. I don't want to take nothing away from him, but yeah, I could definitely see something like that.
I think the Cardinals will trade up, and I think they will get Ty Simpson. I think that's definitely a thing, and I think the Dolphins might be the one to trade out of that pick.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Okay. Well, that is it for this super mock draft episode of the show. You can find all of the Sports Counsel podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts from. Don't forget to follow our social medias. We are Sports_Counsel on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, every social media, like G said, we are on. It's the same username and handle, sports_counsel. And in the bio to all of those, you will find a link to our Discord. Join the community. Follow along the draft along with us. Watch us crash out on your own. It's a judgment-free zone, honestly. No one ever sees the Discord anyway. Like, no one ever, like, pins your accountability based on Discord. So if you have some crazy takes out there, they'll be lost in the void. So might as well get them out there while you can. Twitter is forever, but Discord is temporary. So might as well join the Discord. But that'll do it. I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't take that as legal advice, but
okay, there we go. That's what I was waiting for.
It will be faster into the void, I'd say. But
wonderful.
You think you're gonna get more than 10 correct picks and more than 27? How do you feel?
I feel like I will get
11,
maybe. I think I'd be closer to getting to 10 right players in the right spot than I would be to getting a lot of the players just in the first round right. I feel like this draft, it has a lot of kind of questions after the first few picks. There's not the most, like, as we say, like, first round prospects. Obviously 32 players got to be drafted, so there's going to be 32 first round picks one way or another. I just don't know if I have the best, like, read on who those guys are going to be this year.
That's fair. First round draft grade. I think it's harder this year. I definitely thought that was harder because there's a couple guys that I had with a first round grade that didn't show up in this mock. So I could definitely see the interchangeability there. But
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see on Thursday night. But that'll do it for today's podcast.
Don't do it, Steelers, please.
Come on, Niners. Protect Brock.
Finally, lineman.